What are the different type of bioreactors? So after this, before constructing any of the fermenter, what are the different points we need to consider? That like a proper agitation system means the continuous stirring should be there, foam control should be there. Because of the continuous stirring, what will happen? The foam formation will be there. So if the foam is reduced much amount, then it will hamper the whole procedure. Okay, so that foam control should be there. Then oxygen delivering system should also be there, and that is for the proper aeration of the media and for the proper requirement of the microbes. Okay, fulfillment of the requirements of the microbes, that oxygen should be there. Head space volume should be there for proper functioning. Then sampling port should be there from where the sample should be introduced into the fermenter. Temperature and pH control, that is required because it is a fermentation, microbes are required here, they are involved. So for every reaction they have certain optimum pH and optimum temperature. So to control to maintain for maintenance of that temperature and pH and control system should be there in the fermenter. Sterilization system should be there. As the microbes are there, then all the systems should be sterilized. Lines for charging and emptying of the reactors. Okay, so for loading of the reactor and for emptying the reactor, proper continuous lines, pipes, connections should be there. So these are the basic things which should be there in the fermenter design. So we have seen like, okay, let me ask, slides are clear, am I audible? Please respond. Yeah, am I audible now? Can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just I request you to respond so that I can continue because, yeah. If any glitch is there also in between, please tell me that time only. So that, because I am not aware, because I complete on full screen this slide is there, no? So I am not able to see if any glitch is there, please tell me. Okay. So we have seen that for the stir tank fermenter also, proper aeration and agitation system should be there. For aeration, why aeration is required? Earlier we have seen for support of the microbes growth. Okay. So for proper aeration system, there is one device called as asperger. So that is the asperger, and there are different type of asperger: porous asperger, orifice asperger, or the nozzle asperger. These are on the basis of, here in this figure you can see, this is the asperger here. So here what is happening? With the help of asperger, the air is introduced inside the fermenter. And these are very tiny holes, okay, so that the air bubbles will come inside, air will be come through these holes, and it will be mixing in the media for the proper growth, as a proper for the maintenance of this medium and the microbials, to support the microbial growth. So this is the asperger system. On the basis of its size, shape, they are of 3 types. Then this is the aeration system. Second is agitation system. So agitation is also with the help of this impeller and agitator. This will help in continuous stirring of the media. So if the continuous stirring of the fermentation media is taking place, what will happen? The yield will be increased. Okay. So at the slow rate, at the optimum temperature, at the optimum pH, when the whole reaction of fermentation is taking place, and with the continuous stirring, the yield will always be maximum. That is why this stir tank reactor is the most adopted technique, because in this, whatever the products we are going to prepare, what are the things we are going to prepare here, the yield will always be optimum and maximum, okay, up to the mark. So for any fermenter, these 2 things are there. Now, what are the different parts of the fermenter and its function? Okay, so these are the different part. Again, those are the same points like impeller or agitator, asperger, baffles. Baffles we have seen here. These are the side supports. And one more thing they are doing, when the foam is formed here, so much froth is there during the formation. So these these plates, they will cut the foam also. Okay, so if the large piece of foam is there, they will cut it into the small pieces, so the reaction will be easy. Okay, so these are the baffles. Then temperature probe is there to measure and monitor. Cooling jacket is there to maintain the temperature. Cooling jacket also you have seen here. These are the outer jacket from where the water stream or steam is there inside, and it is coming out from here. So we can run the hot water or cold water, whatever is required for maintenance of the inside temperature. Okay. So then a pH probe is there, level probe is there to measure the level of medium, because we cannot 100% we cannot fill the media in the tank. There is certain level, like so up to measure that level, this probe is there. Then the foam control, yes, that is to detect the foam control, that if the foam formed is in excess, that also should be controlled to for the appropriate reaction to continue. Then the acid and bases, both of these are present to maintain the media. Okay, whatever media is required, so these acid and bases are there to provide microbes the optimum pH. Then antifoam, if too much foam is formed, antifoams are always there to break down and avoid foam occurrence. Sampling port is to acquire sample throughout the process, and valves are there to regulate, and then inlet air filter is there, exhaust air filter is there, rotameter is there, dissolved oxygen probe is there, and pressure gauge. So this way you can see and you can write about all about the stirred tank for reactor. So what are its different points, and what are these things. So all these we have discussed in the last class, and now we have come to the media formulation. Okay, now let me ask, is it clear till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now we will go for the, because once we are done with the fermenter design, okay, what we need some media. So what is that media? That is not any of the media. That media should contain all the things required for the microbial growth. Because if we support the microbial growth, then only we can get the proper yield. Okay. So that media which is used in the fermentation process should be formulated in such a way that it should support the microbial needs. And these needs could be of water. What are the needs? Microbe need water, energy sources, sources of carbon, nitrogen, and phosphate. So all these things should be there to support the microbial growth. Now, following are the criteria imperative to consider by designing a medium. So there should be there, like when we have constructed a fermenter, we have taken some points into consideration, that it should stainless steel body, proper heating should be there, temperature control should be. So like that, for media also there are certain things that we have to understand. So the media should support the maximum production of the yield. Okay, there are various type of the media, but we need to take the media like a sugar source. So sugar source could be many types, but we have to sort for that media which could give the maximum yield. Okay, so like that for all things. Second is to promote the maximum accumulation of the product. Yes. Third is the maximum rate of product formation should be achieved. These are more or less same points, that the yield should be imperative, that should be of the highest order. And so the media should be formulated like this. There should be minimum production of unwanted product, because we are doing it all the on the industrial scale. So there should not be any point of any loss. Okay, if unwanted product will be there, then it will not support the things. So the minimum production of unwanted product should be there. Constituent of the media should be available throughout there at cheaper rate and nearby area. Yes, this is also very important. Like on the industrial scale, if something is prepared, so what is happening? We need to, it is not like we are going to do this production in the summer and not in the winter or not in the autumn. So it is not. The continuous availability of those raw materials should be there. Okay. And then there should not be any undesirable change in the consistency, yes. So during the formulation of the media or sterilization of the media, there should not be any undesirable change. Okay, so these are the things. Now, what is culture media and what is the requirement for the microbes? So some sources of energy, water, carbon, nitrogen, vitamins and minerals. These are the things which is required in the culture media. Okay, and these are the same points which we have discussed. Now coming to the main thing, that how the media is designed. So media are designed based on the equation using the minimum components required to produce the maximum product yield. Okay, just see this point. Minimum components required to produce maximum product yield. That is why it is called as formulation. Means we are formulating the media in such a way that by giving the minimum components, we could acquire the maximum product. Means we have to provide everything that is required for them, for their carbon. What are the requirements? That also we will see. Carbon and energy source, nitrogen source, nutrient products, carbon dioxide, water, heat, biomass. So all these things we are going to provide. Apart of from them, we are giving them minerals, growth factors, chelating agents, buffers, antifoaming agents, air and steam. So these should be, we have to provide the things in minimum, but to get the maximum yield. So the formulation should be done in such a way. So like we have seen that first is the carbon source that is required by the microbes. So, okay, is it clear till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I will continue now. The carbon source. So first and foremost requirement for any of the microbes to grow is the carbon source. Okay. So from where they are getting the carbon? They are getting the carbon by the, these are present in, it contains high sugar concentration and other components like nitrogenous substance, vitamins and all these things. Okay, fine. So the carbon which they are getting from carbohydrate, oil, fats and hydrocarbons. Okay, so just see this point. The carbon source for the microbes in the fermentation media are carbohydrates, different type of. These could be simple, these could be complex, that we will see further. Then oil, because oil is also an organic compound containing carbon, then fats same way, then hydrocarbons also. So these four are the main source of carbon in the fermentation media. So firstly, we will see the carbohydrates. So these are the most commonly used carbon source in the fermentation media. And starch is easily available and they can obtain from these things, maize, cereals and potatoes. They could be used as grounded, they could be used as a mash. So like this, they can be used. Apart from these things, molasses, they are also the cheapest source of the carbohydrate. You all must have heard when we will see the ethanol formation, with the molasses are a great source for the carbohydrate there. Okay, for the carbon there. So like this, these carbohydrates is very important source. And second is the oil and fat. Oil and fats, they are used again as a carbon source and they are providing the more energy per weight compared to the sugar. Yes, they also have anti-foaming properties and they are used as additives. Okay. So majority of the carbon source, whatever we are using in the media is the in form of sugar. And oil can also act as carbon source, but in formulation of the media, they are adding as an additive in the media. They are acting as an additive and they are acting as an anti-foaming agent rather than carbon source. Okay. Now some hydrocarbons can also be used as a carbon source, C12 to C18 hydroalkanes. They are cheap, have more carbon and energy content. And these hydrocarbons, what are different hydrocarbons? It could be organic acids, amino acids, antibiotics, enzymes. They can be used for the fermentation media. Okay, as a carbon source. Now the last, okay, so these are the three carbon sources like carbohydrate, then oil fat, then hydrocarbon. Now come to the nitrogen source. So nitrogen sources are also, it is having in form of ammonia, ammonium salts, urea. These are the most commonly used. They are also serving to control the pH. Then coming to the growth factor. Like microbes are there, so we need to provide them some growth factor for the additional maintenance of their growth. So vitamins, amino acids, fatty acids, they are used. Now chelating agents. So what the chelating agents are doing, they will prevent the formation of insoluble metal precipitates. Okay. So we are using EDTA is most commonly used chelating agent, and they will form the complexes with the metal ion present in the media and can be utilized by the organisms. Okay, so if any metal is there inside, the chelating agent will precipitate with them and they will form the complexes so that the reaction of fermentation can proceed easily. So after growth factor, chelating agent, minerals. Minerals are also important in fermentation media. Calcium, chlorine, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, these are the essential minerals for all the media. Okay, and the requirement of phosphate is also there. Other minerals like copper, cobalt, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc, they all are needed. Okay. So these are the minerals which are required for the fermentation media. Now buffers. Buffers, we know that all the buffers, they are used for maintenance of the pH of the media. So for optimum, whatever is the pH required at the optimum level, that is there. Okay. So that is why the buffers are used for that maintenance. Now anti-foaming agent. Anti-foaming agent, when the foam is formed there, these anti-foaming agent, like first we will read it, then it will be better to understand. Microbial process produce a large amount of foam in the fermentation vessel, and this is due to microbial protein and other components in the media. Okay. So whatever components are there in the media, and because of the microbial protein present in the microbial cells, so much amount of foam is formed during the fermentation process. So that those foam formation is the unwanted present. Okay, we need to avoid that procedure also. So for that, we have to add some anti-foaming agent. Okay, so the anti-foaming agent we are using here are the cottonseed oil, olive oil, castor oil, soybean oil, like this. Okay, these all are the example of anti-foaming agent. Anti-foaming agents are also called as surfactant, and they reduce the surface tension in the foam and destabilize the foam producing protein. So once the foam producing protein is destabilized, the formation of foam, chances of foam formation will be minimized. So there the anti-foaming agent will come into the action, and they will avoid or reduce the foam formation to the minimal level. Okay. Now apart from that, all these things, air is also very much required for aeration and supplied into the fermenter by means of pumps and compressors. So after that, steam is used, that is to sterile the fermenter and other equipment. Okay. So these are the things which are required for the fermentation media and process of fermentation. Is it clear? Please confirm. Students, are you there? No? Please respond.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So till now we are done with the process of this. What is fermentation? The basic definition. What are bioreactor? What are fermenter? What is the design of state tank fermenter? You have to remember the picture of that state tank fermenter. And then if you know because when you are writing this answer, you need to write all these things, like proper aeration system should be there, proper agitation system should be there. So proper input should be there, that proper harvest port should be there. So for all these things to write, you need to understand the role of different whatever the attachment are there, components are there that we have discussed today. Okay, so just go through all these things, everything is there in these notes. And one more thing, you need to understand the diagram very clearly, so that once the diagram is clear, you can write it properly. Now, in our syllabus, after this design of state tank fermenter and fermentation media, raw material used in fermentation industry. Okay, one more thing. Today, though we have discussed these things also, but some three this I have posted some notes in the Google Classroom also. Have you seen it anywhere?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So those are also regarding the fermentation, media, raw material, and those are the additional notes you can add while preparing your own notes. You can take these notes completely, and from there also you can add your points. Okay. Those are also in very much detail, so you can prepare your answer. Okay. Now in our syllabus we have industrial production of alcohol, that is ethyl alcohol, beverages, amylases, antibiotics, amino acids, that is glutamic acid, citric acid, vitamin B12 and biofuel. So today we will finish off this vitamin B12. Okay. So any of you have heard the name of vitamin B12? Please tell me. More than 28 are there in the class. Nobody has heard the name of vitamin B12?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Where it is used? When it is prescribed, when doctors say that you should take vitamin B12. Okay, I will tell. Anyone want to say? When the person is suffering from anemia, okay, because this vitamin is very much helpful for the RBC formation. So this vitamin B12 or cyanocobalamin, okay, that is there, it is very much required. Now today we will see how on the industrial scale, because this is a vitamin which cannot be synthesized in the body. So for its production we need to take it from the outside as a supplement. So for that we have to take it. So it should be produced on the industrial scale, like a medicine you have to consume. So for this the industrial scale production is very much required. Okay. So what is that we will see here now. So firstly we have the introduction that what is the vitamin. Vitamins are the organic compound and they are very vital nutrient that an organism require in the limited amount. We cannot consume vitamin because if they are excessive in the body, they can also act as a toxin. Okay, so they have their optimum requirement for the body also. So in that amount only they should be consumed. They are of very great value in the growth and metabolism of the living cell. Vitamins are obtained with the food, but a few are obtained by other means. Okay. 13 vitamins are universally recognized as present. So, okay. On the basis of their characteristics, biological and chemical activity, they are classified into two groups, like fat soluble and water soluble. Okay. So these are the fat soluble A, D, E, K, and B and C they are, or full category of B, and vitamin C they are of the water soluble. So that is why nowadays when we are saying like vitamin C and B, because B and C they can dissolve in the water and they can be out of the body with the urine. Okay, so that is why the consumption of B complex and C is very required to take daily. Okay, like and these are also fat soluble. They will be there in the body for some more time if you compare with this. Okay, so these are the water soluble and these are fat soluble vitamins. Now we come to the vitamin B12. That is called as cyanocobalamin. Now, here you can see, just, okay. So it's a water soluble vitamin and it has a key role in normal functioning of the brain and the nervous system and in the formation of the brain cell. Okay, so this is the role of the vitamin B12. These are involved in the metabolism of every cell of human body, especially affecting the DNA synthesis, fatty acid and amino acid metabolism. They are synthesized only by the microorganism and not by the animals, including humans. So these are so that is why we have to take it as a supplement from the outside only. We cannot synthesize it. Now people with vitamin B12 deficiency, they may eventually develop pernicious anemia. So this pernicious anemia, it is developed due to deficiency of vitamin B12 because of the lack of RBCs. When there is minimum number of hemoglobin is there, hemoglobin count is reduced. That is the stage that is known as anemia. So that is because that time we have to give the supplement of the vitamin B12 so that the RBC count should be maintained. Okay, because vitamin B12 is helpful in formation of RBCs. Now this is the largest and most structurally complicated vitamin, and it can be produced industrially only through the bacterial fermentation synthesis. Yes, means it is the only vitamin that can be synthesized industrially, and this is most commonly most complicated vitamin and can be produced industrially only through fermentation synthesis. Okay, so that is why that we are going to study it there, because fermentation technique, biotechnology uses there involved for the vitamin synthesis. Now come to the production. Cyanocobalamin is industrially produced stable cobalamin form, which is not found in nature. Okay, so it is it is produced only industrially. And entirely it is produced on the commercial basis by the fermentation. It is usually manufactured by submerged culture. Submerged culture in which the too much water content is there, in which the fermentation is taking place, and it is a prolonged process to maximize the yield, and it is taking around 3 to 5 days. There are two types of submerged fermentation involved here that we will see in the further slides, and that is, so complete process will take around 5 to 6 days to complete the process. Now here the main source of the carbon is glucose, and these are the different microbes that are involved here for the this industrial production process. So most important is the Propionibacterium shermani. That is the most important and mostly used microbe which can be employed for the industrial production. Okay, is it okay with you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So apart from this Propionibacterium shermani, these all are the organisms, they can be used. But the maximum production, maximum yield, this is the organism which is used on the industrial scale. Now what are the different steps involved? Like now we have seen the fermenter. Now whatever fermentation techniques, whatever the products which we are going to study further, we have so many products, 6-7 products are there. So in all those things, we have these type of steps. Okay, firstly we need to prepare, we need to formulate the culture media, the fermentation media. Once the fermentation media is done, formulated, what we have to do, we need to go for the fermentation, but before that we need to sterilize the media. So the step 2 will be the sterilization of the media. Thirdly, making the starter culture. Once the media is done, we have to prepare one starter. Because of the microbial reaction, we need to go for the microorganisms. So for that we have to inoculate that fermentation media with certain microbes. Okay, so for making the starter culture, that is the step 3. Then after that, anaerobic. Okay, so in vitamin B12 production, there submerged fermentation is there, but it is of two types. Firstly, it will be anaerobic fermentation, and then it will be by supplying the air, it will be aerobic fermentation. Okay, so the fourth step of any of the this fermentation technique will be the any of the industrial production will be the fermentation. First is the formulation of the media, second will be the sterilization of the media, third is the starter culture preparation, fourth is the fermentation. And once the fermentation is done, the last step will be the recovery. And sometimes after that also purification is also there, because we need to, on the industrial scale, we have to prepare the things in the pure form. So everything will be done then and there only. Once the things are done, then only the packaging will be there, and that can be done. The whole procedure of their production will be done then only. Now, for the media preparation, what are the different carbon sources? The different carbon sources for this media is the corn steep glucose, beet molasses, soybean meal, or glucose. Okay. Nitrogen sources are ammonium phosphate and ammonium hydroxide. Then prepared media is sterilized by autoclaving. Sterilized media is then used for the fermentation. So by using all these things, we will prepare the media, then it will be autoclaved, and the media will be kept for the fermentation, used for the fermentation. Now, the fermentation comes. So as we have seen here, firstly it is going for the, okay, then the third step is the starter culture preparation. So starter culture, these are the microbes which are generally used for this, but maximum use for organism of industrial scale is this Propionibacterium shermani. Okay, so but here also one thing is there, its wild strain will not give that result which is given by the mutant strain. Here it is written like improved strain produce 50,000 times more vitamin B12 than the wild strain. Okay, so the mutant strain will be used in the as an inoculum for the preparation of vitamin B12. Now first the anaerobic fermentation. Okay, so it is again fermentation. Anaerobic means absence of air. Okay, it is submerged also. Continuous fermentation is also effective, but majority of the time it is in the batches. Now in this, what is happening, the sterilized media is filled in the stir tank fermenter with 1% inoculum. Okay, anaerobic condition is maintained to encourage the production of DBC. Now, am I audible now? Slides are clear? Please respond, someone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, thank you. So two type of fermentation we are taking here. Like first is the anaerobic fermentation, second is the aerobic fermentation. So both the fermentation have their specific role. Means in each of the processes, in both of the things, there are some specific characters should be there. So that are the aims. Means here what is happening in anaerobic fermentation, there is one product that is called as DBC. That is dimethyl benzimidazole cobalamide, DBC. That is produced by this bacteria. Okay. So anaerobic conditions will encourage the production of DBC by Shermani. Okay. So once these for anaerobic fermentation, first thing you need to remember is during anaerobic fermentation, DBC production is encouraged by Propionibacterium shermani. Now, once it is done for 2-3 days, then what will happen? Sterile air is pumped into the fermenter. Okay. Then the culture is stirred well for proper aeration. It is aerobic fermentation now. This will be again for 4 days. In the anaerobic fermentation, what has happened? DBC has formed, that cobalamide has formed. But now, in this process, what will happen? During the process, the some amount of DBC and pseudo vitamin B12, that is adenylyl cobalamin, they will be produced. So DBC and pseudo vitamin B12. Okay, these are the precursors of the cyanocobalamin. Why it is called as pseudocobalamin? Because structurally it is same, but there is no function of the no characteristic of the cyanocobalamin. Structurally it is same. So that is why it is called as pseudocobalamin. So what has happened in this aerobic fermentation process? In this, during anaerobic, DBC was encouraged to produce. During aerobic fermentation, DBC and pseudo vitamin B12 are produced. Okay. What are DBC and what are pseudo vitamin B12? That is adenylyl cobalamin. They are the immediate precursors of the cyanocobalamin, which is our end product. Okay. So now we have got our precursors in aerobic fermentation. So during the fermentation, we have got our precursors. Okay. Now the next step should be, now we need to take out the things from these precursor. We have to take out our product. Okay. Now what we have to do, that we will see. Okay. This is a flow chart. Here you can see that this is the medium plus cobalt, then sterilization, then inoculation with the bacteria. then anaerobic fermentation, then aerobic fermentation. Now we will see what is written here, then we will, okay. What will happen inside the microbial cell, the cyanocobalamin exists in the form of natural substances such as DBC and pseudovitamin B12, okay. The cultured broth contain this much vitamin B12 per liter. So after the aerobic fermentation, they will be harvested, they will be centrifuged at high speed. So after the centrifugation, they will get the concentrated mass of cell. So what is this concentrated mass of cell carrying? They are carrying the DBC and pseudo vitamin B12. This point is clear with you? Tell me. Okay, I will repeat once again. Tell me, anyone? Okay, so first what we have done, we have formulated the media, we have sterilized the media, thirdly we have inoculated the starter, fourth was the anaerobic fermentation. So anaerobic fermentation, what has happened? The DBC growth production was induced, encouraged by Propionibacterium shermani. Okay, in the next step, that is the aerobic fermentation, that was done by providing the sterile air and making so that the media was aerated. What has happened in that step? The DBC and pseudovitamin B12, which are the precursor for the cyanocobalamin formation, they are produced. So till the fermentation, anaerobic and then aerobic are ended, the precursors for the vitamin B12 production is done. They are produced. Now after these things are there in the fermentation tank, we need to take out. Okay, we have to take out our product. So that product will not that cannot be used like it is there in the fermentation media, because it is still there in that. So we have to recover it. So what we will do? We will go for the centrifugation. So as a result of the centrifugation, we will get the cell mass, concentrated mass of the cell, bacterial cells. And these are the bacterial cells which are having DBC and pseudovitamin B12. Is it clear till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So once the we have extracted, we have recovered the cells with DBC and pseudovitamin B12, which are the precursor for our product. Now we have to take out these things. We have to get our product from these cells directly. So for that, we will treat this cell mass with dilute acid and heat shock at 10 to 30 degree. So during this treatment, precursor of pseudovitamin B12 are released free, and then it is treated with cyanide solution to split DBC and pseudovitamin B12. After acid treatment, after heat shock treatment, it will be treated with the cyanide solution, and then what will happen? The cyanocobalamin is released free in the solution. Now it will be absorbed on the column chromatography with IRC50 resin. Again, the elution process will be there, and as a result, it will be found in the solvent, and then the solvent fraction is evaporated, and then the crystal of cyanocobalamin will be formed. So, after this anaerobic, aerobic, then recovery, and in the recovery, firstly the centrifugation, then treatment with acid, then treatment with this heat treatment. So after that heat treatment, cyanide solution treatment is there. After cyanide solution, the vitamin B12 is released free in the solution. Now, when we are having the solution with vitamin B12, we need to absorb it. Okay, so here adsorption column chromatography will be there, and after the process of adsorption chromatography and elution technique with the phenolic solvent, the solvent fraction we will get containing only cyanocobalamin. This solution is having, solvent is having cyanocobalamin, then it will be exposed to atmospheric air and then the crystals of cyanocobalamin will be there. And then it can be stored for future use, it can be packaged, and it is complete process. Now you can see here, and now you can better understand, this is the medium sterilized, this is the complete process, okay? Medium sterilized, inoculation of the starter culture, anaerobic fermentation, aerobic fermentation, then centrifugation, harvested broth, cell harvest. Then once the cell we have harvested, acid treatment and heating should be there. Because of acid treatment and heating, release pseudovitamin B12. After that, addition of cyanide solution. After that, once the cyanide solution is added, cyanocobalamin will come in the liquid. Adsorption chromatography is there. That will be on IRC 50 resin. Then elution will be there. And so after the end product, cyanocobalamin, we will obtain in the solvent. And then we will further evaporate it and we will get the cyanocobalamin crystal. So this was all about the vitamin B12 production on the industrial scale. Yeah, tell me. I hope it was okay with you all.
Yes, ma'am.
And the last slide is just, it is telling about what are the different uses. That is the food preservative, cofactor, and protective medicine. So when we are writing any of the industrial scale production, what we need to do, we have to write certain uses also, okay, where it is used. That is also the thing. Okay. So this way we are done with this vitamin B12 production, and I will take attendance now, and then we will start further. So the points which we have discussed today, I feel it is clear, very elaborately we have discussed these points. Is it clear with you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let me start taking attendance and then